Welcome back to the American English Podcast. Today, we're kicking off a brand new series called American Culture, where we learn English by diving into fascinating cultural habits of Americans. Here's a fun fact to get us started. Did you know that in international surveys, Americans are often ranked among the world's smiliest people? Some studies even suggest that the average American smiles more than 20 times a day, far more than people in many other countries. Now, depending on where you're from, that might sound warm and friendly, or maybe even a little strange. But here's the twist. In the US, smiling isn't just about being happy, it's a powerful cultural signal. It tells people, I'm approachable, I'm friendly, and I want to connect. And sometimes Americans even smile when they're nervous, stressed, or trying to ease tension in an awkward situation. So, why do Americans smile so much compared to the rest of the world? And more importantly, what can you learn from this cultural habit to sound and feel more natural in English conversations? Stick around, because by the end of this episode, you will not only understand the smile culture, but you'll also have some practical tips to bring into your own communication. Ready? Let's dive in. Smiling in the US isn't just about showing happiness, it's deeply tied to the country's cultural DNA. From the moment you arrive in America, you'll notice people smiling in almost every situation when greeting a neighbor, ordering coffee, or even during small talk with strangers. This behavior reflects some of the core values of American society, such as friendliness, openness, and optimism. In fact, many Americans see smiling as a way of creating connection. It says, I'm approachable, I'm positive, and I want to make this interaction pleasant. This mindset fits perfectly with broader cultural ideals like equality, because in the American context, a smile is a way of putting everyone on the same level, whether you're talking to your boss, your colleague, or the person bagging your groceries. But here's where it gets interesting. In other cultures, constant smiling might not carry the same meaning. In some countries, smiling too much can even be seen as insincere or unnecessary. That's why understanding the cultural role of smiling in America can help you avoid misunderstandings and build more natural, authentic connections when speaking English. In today's episode, we'll look at why Americans smile so often, the cultural influences behind it, and what this means for you as a learner of both the English language and American culture. So, what exactly makes Americans so smiley? Let's break it down into a few key cultural influences. First, social interactions. In the US, smiling is like social glue. It's a way to signal friendliness and reduce tension, especially when meeting new people. Think about it. If you walk into a room full of strangers, a smile is the quickest way to say, I come in peace. Americans often use it to smooth over awkward moments, like when two people accidentally bump into each other on the street. Instead of frowning, you'll usually see both sides exchange a quick smile. Second, humor. Americans love to infuse humor into daily conversations, and smiles naturally follow. Even light jokes or playful comments are often accompanied by a grin. This creates a culture where smiling isn't reserved for big, happy events, it's part of everyday communication. Third, cultural values. America has long been associated with optimism and the belief in positive outcomes, sometimes referred to as the can do spirit. Smiling becomes a reflection of that mindset. It tells others that no matter how stressful life gets, you're still open, hopeful, and approachable. For English learners, this is a valuable lesson. Adopting the habit of smiling while speaking can make you seem more confident and natural, even if your grammar or pronunciation isn't perfect. In fact, many Americans will focus more on the warmth of your smile than on the mistakes in your English. To really understand the power of the American smile, let's look at a true story. A few years ago, an international student from Japan arrived in Los Angeles for university. On her first day, she was surprised by how often people smiled at her classmates, professors, even strangers on the bus. At first, she thought, do they all know me? Why are they smiling so much? In her culture, smiling at strangers could sometimes seem odd or even insincere. But something interesting happened. She decided to experiment. Whenever someone smiled at her, she smiled back, even if it felt uncomfortable at first. Slowly, she began noticing a change. Classmates started inviting her to study groups. Professors seemed more approachable. Even small conversations like asking for directions became easier and warmer. One day, she shared with her English teacher how shocked she was by the results. The teacher explained that in America, a smile is often the first step to building trust and community. It's less about showing happiness and more about opening the door to connection. Her story highlights an important point. In the US, smiling can be a social superpower. It bridges cultural gaps, creates opportunities, and makes communication flow more naturally, even when your English isn't perfect. So, now that we've seen how smiling works in real life, let's dig into why it matters, so much beyond just social interaction. Smiling has been linked to powerful benefits for both mental health and community well being. From a psychological perspective, smiling, even when you don't fully feel like it, can actually trigger your brain to release good feel chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. This is sometimes called the facial feedback effect, where the simple act of smiling tricks your mind into feeling more positive. No wonder Americans use it so often. It's like a quick mood reset. On a social level, smiling creates a ripple effect. When one person smiles, the other person almost always smiles back. This cycle reinforces trust and helps build a sense of belonging. In workplaces, for example, leaders who smile are often perceived as more approachable and supportive. In communities, smiling makes it easier for people from different backgrounds to connect, even if they don't share the same language fluency. For English learners, this is especially valuable. Imagine you're nervous speaking in English. A genuine smile can soften communication, buy you patience from the listener, and make the whole exchange less intimidating. It's not just about words, it's about the energy you bring into the conversation. So, when you think about American culture, smiling isn't just a habit. It's a cultural strategy, one that strengthens both individual happiness and collective harmony. So, let's bring everything together. We started with a surprising fact. Americans smile more often than almost anyone else in the world. Then we explored why, because smiling in the US isn't just about showing happiness, it's about signaling friendliness, breaking the ice, and reflecting bigger cultural values like openness and optimism. We also looked at how smiling shows up in daily life, in casual interactions with strangers, in jokes and humor, and in the can-do spirit that shapes American society. Through the story of the international student, we saw how powerful a smile can be. It opened doors, built trust, and made communication flow more naturally, even when your English isn't perfect. And finally, we discussed the science behind smiling, from boosting your mental health to strengthening social bonds. The takeaway is simple. If you want to connect with Americans and feel more confident speaking English, don't underestimate the power of a smile. It's not just a cultural quirk, it's a tool. By smiling, you communicate more than words could. You show warmth, openness, and a willingness to connect. So next time you practice your English, try pairing your words with a smile. You might be surprised at how much easier the conversation becomes and how much more natural your English feels. And that wraps up today's episode of the American English Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into why Americans smile so much and how this small cultural habit can completely transform the way you connect in English. Now, I'd love to hear from you. How do people in your country view smiling? Do you think Americans smile too much, or do you find it refreshing? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I'll be reading and responding to as many as I can. If you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with a friend who's also learning English. And if you're ready to explore more about American culture and language, check out the next video in this series. It's packed with insights that will make your English journey even more fun and engaging. Thanks again for watching, and remember, keep smiling, keep practicing, and keep growing your English every single day. See you in the next episode.